Well, folks, I sat down and had a really good conversation with my good buddy Texas Trey. And usually, when he and I get together to record a video, we always set ourselves, let's keep it about 10, 15 minutes long. That should make for a good video. But we went a little bit longer than that, and neither one of us felt like hitting the stop button because we was having such a great conversation. We talked a lot about Joe Biden dropping out of the race and Vice President Kamala Harris moving forward, and all of the excitement and the energy that we have now, and how that for once we're finally on the offense. It was a really great conversation. And if you guys haven't followed Texas Trey, I'm going to tag his YouTube channel in the description of this one. He's the Texas Trey here on YouTube. He's also on the TikTok app. You can find him as Texas Trey on there. And I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation just as much as I did having it. Y'all take a look. Well, man, it has been probably the craziest 3 weeks that we've had. I don't know when. It seems as though time has stopped and slowed down. Usually time is rushing by, but these last 3 weeks have just seemed long because there has so much happened, from a failed assassination attempt against Donald Trump, to him picking JD Vance at the convention, and now President Biden has officially dropped out of the race. So I really don't even know where to start. But I guess we could start, at the bottom and work our way backwards, because President Biden is officially out, man. What was your thoughts when you first heard that?
Uh, Relief, honestly. I remember being shocked initially, did not expect it, and then actually some relief, and then just really feeling a sense of actual, genuine hope. I mean,
Yeah.
all over a period of a few hours. I'm not a presidential fanboy. I don't hold particular allegiances to one person who holds that office or not. There are some good presidents and there are bad presidents. Biden's been a great president for us. He's gotten a lot done in his one term in office. But I just didn't think he could beat Trump. Not after
Yeah.
the debate performance and subsequent instances. And so I was just, yeah, relief and hope, I guess.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. And the one thing I wanted to talk about is I've saw a lot of infighting on the left side of the aisle, from people who wanted him to stay in versus people who wanted him to drop out. Personally, I wanted him to stick in there, but that's because, in my mind, I totally understood the arguments that people were making after seeing the debate performance. Everybody had every right to believe that or think that. My thing was, I just wanted to be in solidarity with Biden, because I feel like that Trump thrives off of chaos, and I feel like the more division that we have, the more that feeds into him. So that's why that I was like, okay, I'm going to be solidly behind Biden until Biden says something different. And now he's stepping down, and so it's like, okay, now we got to get on board, and we got to get back together. Some of us may have disagreed on that, and had our disagreements, and some of us may have had heated arguments with other people about it. But I feel like now it feels like that now we're starting to feel some energy. At least I am. It feels like people are starting to get a little bit excited once the dust settled. Because, like you said about the emotions you felt, I had a lot of those same feelings. I kind of felt shocked, and then I felt a little bit almost mad at one point, just because I felt like a good man. I feel like a good man got pushed out of the race for being old and having a bad debate, and then Trump got embraced. After I just had all kinds of emotions, but then it circled back to optimism. Like, I started feeling hope for the first time in a long time, because it had been a rough couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, it had. And, it's usually never advisable to change candidates. If you have an incumbent, that's who you go with. I mean, it's unheard of. Well, I won't say it's unheard of, but very rarely. And then I thought changing horses at this point in the race was not smart.
Yeah, that was mean.
Um, but I just did, yeah, much respect for Joe Biden. I didn't hate the guy at all.
Absolutely.
I just didn't think he could beat Trump. I just really didn't,
Yeah.
because and people got really caught up on the left about, and I'd have some come and argue with me. So, well, Biden didn't tell any lies and Trump just got up there and lied. It's like, well, of course he did. What do you expect? What do you expect? These
Yeah.
debates are not about substance. These debates are about performance and projection. And
Exactly.
Trump projected strength. Yeah, but he lied. The truth really apparently doesn't matter anymore in politics, so we need to get past that.
Yeah.
you know, and that's
No,
not
you're
fair. I
right.
mean, I'm just saying with respect to performance and perception, because the race was so tight, you could not afford to lose even a handful of voters, and
Yeah.
there were people, I guarantee you, Brandon, who watched that
Mhm.
debate and saw what happened and were swung towards Trump's side of the fence for no other reason
Yeah.
than the appearance of it. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality of politics and where we're at in America today. But I, you know, Joe Biden, again, a lot of respect. I didn't hate the guy. I just didn't think he could
Yeah.
do it. And now, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know what you feel about this, but I got to kind of look at it and go, I wonder if Biden's been playing them ever since that debate. You
Yeah.
know, our, our
part,
before.
part of me has, part of me has wondered that too. But I think going back to something you said about the debate, I think that people like me and you, man, we're tuned in every day. We're tuned in watching. We make content about it, and our audiences that watches us are talking about it. So we're all in the loop on everything. But there's the people that aren't paying attention, that are just out there living their lives, and the grocery bill's high and their times are hard, they're struggling to get by. And now there's a debate on tonight between these two guys that we've not really been paying attention to, and those people tune in and they see that, and then, well, I guess Biden's too old, and people like us is over here, like you said, screaming, hey, but wait a minute, Trump was lying his ass off. But like you said, that performative art, it resonated probably with people who weren't paying as close attention to the rest of us. And so I feel like that now. I believe that everything that's going on now almost is going to force more people's hand to tune in and pay attention, because it's just there's so much going on at the moment, and now we have we're definitely going to have a new Democratic ticket. So all the arguments that MAGA used to make against Joe Biden, they're going to have to come up with something new now. They're going to come, because they can't say the opponent is too old. They can't say the opponent stutters. Now they have to deal with it's looking as though it's going to be Kamala Harris, and they're looking at that, and so I can already see a little bit of panic in MAGA on the right side of the aisle, and from Trump especially.
Yeah, I jumped onto Twitter on my ghost account there to check out what MAGA was saying, and they have just been losing their minds over all of this.
Yeah,
And Trump demanding his money, wanted a refund. I just think it was brilliant. I mean, I
yeah,
really really do. Biden had always said he would drop out, if and when it was the right time for him to do so. And man, was that
yeah.
the right time, because all of a sudden,
It was.
any lift from the Republican National Convention was just sucked right out of that, um,
Yeah,
taken out of the equation. All of a sudden, everyone forgot about the assassination attempt, and all eyes and all
yeah,
focus on that, because they spent literally a week every day, day in and day out, bashing a candidate who's not even in the race. I mean, it
yeah,
was
yeah,
truly a brilliant move. And, you can argue, well, that's not who, people voted for in the primaries. They force you. I don't look at it that way. It's like,
I don't either.
to me, I would have voted for a steaming pile of dog crap, if that was
Yeah,
running against Trump. I mean,
yeah,
it just wasn't going to be Trump. But I think that people who aren't paying attention, who hadn't been paying attention, to your point, are going to be paying more attention now. I can relate to those people who turn on a presidential debate before an election every 4 years and watch it and get swayed, because for many many years I was one of those people. I didn't really just pay attention.
yeah,
I would flip it on, and it's like, ooh man, he destroyed him or whatever it might be. But yeah, no, I think this is a good thing. I think that Republicans are rightfully scared at this point.
yeah. And something me and my dad talked about a lot, because Dad was really concerned about it, and he was talking about he wished Biden would go ahead and step down. He was saying that that's a debate we were having, at our house, and I said, well, it wouldn't be smart of him to say it before the convention, even if he was going to. It wouldn't be a smart move to say it before then. It wouldn't be a smart move to say it in the middle of it. There was so many people pressuring Joe Biden every time he got in front of a live microphone. And I'm like, if he's going to say it, he ain't going to say it now. It wouldn't be smart to. Sometimes you got to play your cards close to your chest, man. And I feel like that basically Trump goes out there, he picks JD Vance. They have their RNC. It's just this big dose of political theater with Hulk Hogan ripping off his shirt and all this ridiculous stuff. And now they're stuck with that. Like you said, they spent an entire week talking about a candidate that's no longer in the race. Now he's stepping down, and when he does, or I should say dropping out, and now that he's dropping out, it shifts the tide, and everyone's talking about that, and now they're stuck with what they had at their convention. So the Democrats are going to be going into a convention with an energized base, I feel.
I couldn't.
I really feel like I'm starting to feel more energy, and I'm starting to feel more hope than I have in the last little bit.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And it's palpable if you look across social media and you look at. I mean, there's a lot of people coalescing behind her.
Yeah,
Rightfully so. There's a lot of energy. I mean, she's Gen X, right? I mean,
yeah,
oh my, and Trump is
yeah.
old. You basically
It's funny because now Trump is the oldest candidate in the race.
Yeah,
Like he's actually the oldest nominee in history now. So it's like the script got flipped on him.
exactly. And all the things that they railed against in the convention and have done nothing but talk about since all this started. Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's convictions, Hunter Biden's coke in the
Hmm.
White House. Um, you
Yeah,
know, FJB, let's go, Brand. All that is gone.
yeah,
It's like, what do you even have
yeah.
left
It
to
feels
talk
good
about
too.
anymore? Because it's all you have campaigned on since this
Yeah,
started, and now that's been taken away out of the equation. And wow, we are 100 days out. I think that was brilliant as well because people are like, oh no, there's not enough time. There's plenty of time. There's
yeah,
plenty of
there
time,
is.
enough time to have an impact, and a narrow enough window that it doesn't give you a chance to really screw up a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the convention, we found out that Trump picked JD
Mm,
Vance, which to me, I don't know how you feel about him, but I feel like he got that. It's not that he had the experience. It's that he has clearly said that he would be a yes man to Trump. He said that he wouldn't have done what Mike Pence did. He wouldn't have certified the results. I think that's what Trump is all about, is surrounding himself by yes men. But JD Vance really strikes a nerve with me because I'm from Appalachia, grew up here, and he writes the book Hillbilly Elegy, and it's just, to me, it was just a stereotypical book that wrote our part of the world in the wrong light.
yeah.
It seemed to put a lot of blame. There was a lot of blame on laziness and a lot of blame on addiction without the talk about how we got there. But I just feel, it's kind of the thing I think about Vance that worries me is that this guy, you know, inexperienced or not, he's now in the political conversation. If Trump was to be reelected, that's the next guy in line to be president. So, what's your thoughts on Vance?
Well, a couple things. First and foremost, yeah, I think Trump picked the perfect lapdog. He was going to pick
Yeah,
whoever. JD Vance will do whatever he is told to do, illegal or otherwise, no questions asked. The other thing is,
yeah,
he's the Heritage Foundation's pick, poster boy, right? To your
yeah,
point, if Trump, steps aside for whatever reason during his presidency, if he were to be elected, Vance is the person at the helm. But here's the thing: he gave a debacle of a speech, just in and of itself. He's one of the most boring people you ever listen to. He doesn't have any
yeah,
energy. He doesn't inspire anyone. And whatever outside of the fact that he's a yes man that Trump and his campaign thought he brought to the table,
yeah,
I guarantee you that it had been known that Harris was going to be the person Trump was going up against, they would not have picked J.D. Vance. I really believe
yeah.
that because,
Yeah, and what's funny is that like he was speaking a while ago, and Fox News cut away from him because he was so boring. They just literally cut like that. That's JD Vance. He's the running mate. Let's go on to something else. Yeah, I agree. I think had they known this was coming, it would have been a different pick. So now, we have the potential of a Kamala Harris versus Trump debate. But then you think about Vance. Vance is going to have to debate whoever Harris was to pick, and there's a lot of names being floated around. Governor Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. Some people have floated the name Pete Buttigieg. Some people are saying Gretchen Whitmer. Mark Kelly's in there, and Andy Bashir, who I kind of have a soft spot for because he's my neighbor here in Kentucky.
yeah,
Right across the state line. I'm right on the line, so I feel Kentucky all the time. I got so much family there. So yeah, those are the possible candidates. Any of those people I just named would absolutely obliterate Vance in a debate. So if which so would have Kamala had it stayed the same, had Biden stayed in the race. But on the Democratic side, now that we're going to have a new ticket, who could you see being a potential VP?
that is a great question. And out of all the people you just named, they would be the same ones I would look at and think, were the ones that are being floated around the most. And I don't have an answer for you. I really
Yeah,
don't. I think there's some, I don't know that I'd pick Pete. I don't know that I would, Gretchen. I don't know. I really need to kind of sit down and
yeah.
do some more reading up on those folks and everything.
Mhm. And like I said, I feel like I'm being biased because I'm next door to Kentucky and I'm more familiar with Andy Bashir and the things that
Well,
he's
I saw
accomplished.
him today,
But
and
I,
I liked what he said. He was like, if that's the kind of call you definitely have to consider it. And
yeah,
I'm partial to Southern accents because I'm from Texas, and I think that helps.
yeah,
I don't care what you say. Again, it's perception. I think that helps.
it is.
Um, you know, but I think you have to take a look at battleground states. Where do you need to
Exactly. Yeah,
win? What do you need to win? What do you have to win? And who can help you the most with those states? And so
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't have enough to give you a good answer at this point.
Yeah, I definitely think, I can totally. I made a video about this. It's going to come out soon, but I did a take on it, and I was like, if you're talking about strictly from a strategical standpoint of we need to, Pennsylvania, it's a battleground state, it's a swing state. If you're going to, Shapiro makes perfect sense. Is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. I think I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of a fan of Andy and what he's done in Kentucky. And also, I'm just so deeply offended by JD Vance and his fake Appalachian ways that I would like to see a good old boy from Kentucky take him on. It's just like, that's just what I want to see. I want to see like the real deal go up against the phony. So that's why I'm pulling for Bashir. I think he would also be a great vice president, but again, what I feel good about, man, is the fact that all the people we named, I wouldn't have a problem with any of
No.
them. If they were it, I wouldn't have a problem. So I don't know. I'm excited. I feel good about things. I feel like we're heading in the right direction, and it's going to be a hell of a ride, man. Because the last 3 weeks has been such a roller coaster. Out of all the elections, have you ever seen one that comes close to
No.
this? I don't think I have.
No. You know,
I mean, this is truly historical times, man. It really is.
oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. I've got a friend of mine in Chicago, and she was just her application was accepted here just recently to actually work the convention, and you know, going to that and attending that and being it's an historic event. It really, really is
Yeah.
because I don't think we've seen a time like this. Now, my parents lived through, the Kennedy assassination, the Cuban Missile Crisis,
Yeah.
and the start and very real threat of the Cold War in that time period.
Yeah.
So there's been things that have happened in our country that have been extremely traumatic and really brought us to the brink. But when you take a look at this and you talk to even those people like my parents, they've never seen anything like this. And
Yeah.
and I think that to your point, this is truly an historic time that we're living in. And I think the choice, regardless of all the energy, which is positive, and all the stuff that's coming in, the enthusiasm, which I love to see, it's actually renewed my, you know, vigor and my interest in all of this. Uh,
Yeah.
it's still a choice between an autocratic theocracy and at least the chance to live and fight another day as America. So,
Exactly.
I think,
It truly is, and my mom made a really good point. I hadn't thought about it for one reason. I wasn't alive back then, but mom was talking about 1968. She was like, in that year you had assassinations, and you had a guy, Lyndon Johnson didn't continue. He didn't accept the nomination from his party. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Johnson would be the last president that didn't accept the nomination for his party and stepped out of the way. I'm pretty sure. I think Reagan was shot, wasn't he? I mean, so that happened then. But it's just we're seeing some turbulent times. But one thing that's different, I was telling my mom, I was like, imagine if you're comparing this year to 1968, the massive difference here is social media and the fact that everyone has a cell phone in their pocket and we're all in on the conversation now. And there's just so much information, misinformation, disinformation. There's so much floating around that I just feel like it's just turbulent times, and feel like we're just in the eye of a hurricane as we're going forward.
I that's a great analogy. The eye of a hurricane going forward because this is by far from over. There's a
Yeah,
hundred or so days, 105 days or whatever it is till the election. I was watching, in state of Tennessee and in Nashville, the neo Nazis and the things that are going on, there, and I think
yeah,
society is going to, you know, reach a boiling point, if you will, that we haven't really gotten close to yet.
yeah.
But I have hope for the first
I do
time,
too.
and that flag that you have hanging behind you is, the image and vision of it was very tainted for me under Trump because of what they've tried to force it to represent, and I almost feel like
Yeah,
we're able to take it back in a way, and
I totally
it,
agree.
it gives me a lot of pride again in the fact that Joe Biden had the courage and to put himself aside and do the right thing for the nation. Right, that's what I
Yeah,
believe he did. I believe it probably grieved him, but
yeah.
he had to put the country first, and I really believe that's what he did.
Yeah, I had a moment, man, where I felt the same way about the flag. I felt that Trump and all of them had just sort of tainted it for me, and I didn't have one for a long time. I didn't own one, but my grandfather was a World War II veteran, and his brother served in Korea. So after my grandfather passed away, his brother, my great uncle, would take a flag to his grave once a year and just put it in. It's a big one. It's on a really nice pole, and so then my great uncle passed away, and there was no one to swap out the flag.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to be the one to do it, and I started, going down there and swapping it out. So one day I just got to thinking, I was like, I've let these people taint this for me. I've let them ruin it for me. And these two men who I may not have agreed with on politics, had we had conversations, as grown men, they still went to bat for democracy. They went to bat for democracy. I just had one of those moments where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let them take it from me. I'm going to get one and hang it behind me because I don't want them to have it. It's not about it's not any one group's flag. It's all of us. And so I don't know. I just had a moment at my grandpa's grave where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let them win this one. So that's why it's there.
Yeah, I totally can understand, with respect to your feelings around that and the fact that, we used to look at, when you're young and you're growing up, you don't know anything. You look at it with a lot of pride that's instilled in you and such. And I grew up as a child in the high school in the 80s, and the Reagan era, and mom and hot dogs and apple pie and, fight the commies and all that. And so there was a lot of, pride around that. But you're naive when you're young, and then when you get older and the veil gets pulled back on a lot of things in this country, like it has since Trump took office,
Yeah.
it really doesn't leave you with the most positive energy and vibe. But I got to tell you,
Yeah.
man, I have some hope. I really, really do,
I do too.
because I have a belief and a hope that America still represents freedom and liberty for all people,
too.
not just a select few. So
Me too. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking time to do this video with me, and we're going to have a hell of a ride. So I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about in the coming months. But as always, Trey, thank you so much for joining.
hey, you bet, man. Good to see you again, and I appreciate the time we got to spend together.
Awesome.
You
Thanks,
bet.
man.
Take care.